You still have your name tag, Mike Barkley, candidate for Congress, District 10.
Yes.
Okay. Are you still running?
Yes.
Well, I know you're still walking.
I never stop.
Yeah, because almost every day, well, maybe not every day, but quite often I see on your Facebook page that you have been walking the neighborhood and you go and knock on somebody's door, they invite you in, which is kind of astonishing in itself that people still, you show up with a badge and, they say, come on in and tell me about why you're walking for.
That's rare, actually. Maybe 1 in 1,000 invites me, and the rest talk to me.
How many people have you talked to? Because it's like all the time on Facebook.
49,000 now, plus another 1,000 twice.
Well, recently somebody won the Modesto City Council seat because she walked the district and talked to.
Good for her.
And talked to the voters once. I think she said that she talked to every single voter once and some of them twice. So is that what you're doing?
That's what I've been doing, but there's 181,480 on the list.
So it may be a few years before you.
2016 is looking good.
Oh, good. So tell me a little bit about that before we get to this here. Okay, so you're walking the district.
Yes.
Congress District 10. Tell us where that is, and tell me when you're going to pull the papers and make it official.
District 10 is all of Stanislaus plus South San Joaquin. And the parts of South San Joaquin is Manteca, Tracy, Escalon, Ripon, Banta, and Vernalis.
That's a long ways to walk.
I have walked some or all of most of the towns in both counties. But every time I tell people which towns I've walked, someone does a door drop of opposing literature. So I'm happy to tell everyone which towns I walked in on June 4th.
Okay.
The day after the election.
Wow, that is a large area. Now, when are you going to pull papers? Is it June 4th? Is that when it is?
June 3rd is the election, but there are filing deadlines.
Oh, this year?
Yes.
This year, okay. So when is the election for District 10?
It's the primary in June 3rd, and the top two from that go to November.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying, because you said 16 was looking good, because it may take another 2 years. Okay, got it. Okay, I'm with you. For some reason, I didn't think you were going to pull papers until 16, but you're going to run in 14, too.
Yes.
Okay.
And I ran in 2012.
Did you run in 10?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't angry enough then.
You're just getting started now.
Well, 25 years ago, I ran for Manteca City Council. I got a lot of votes, but I did not win that. And at the time, I thought I was very fortunate. But now things are not being done that should be done in Washington. So, and there's a very long list on my website, which I didn't bring the URL for. So, but and obviously they can't see it here on this card.
Okay, I'll hold this. Yeah. Okay, so I'll put this up on the website when I get home. So
that'd be great.
We'll put that up on the On Watch page with all the information on it.
Thank you.
Okay, so you let's see, 49,000. Now, why do they put out opposing literature? I mean, is that politics as usual? Your opponent gets a little snippet of what you're doing, and then they go in and try to undermine what you've done.
Well, the people with the money, which Jeff Denham.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that they're really doing that.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
The people with the money, like Jeff Denham, who has $3 million of his own, and then there's $3 million of dark money behind him. They find out you're knocking on doors, and then they want to blanket that neighborhood in order to offset what you've been doing.
Now, how effective do you think walking door to door is compared to just name recognition on the ballot?
I've read a few books. Nancy Pelosi's daughter has one. Says walking doors is the number one thing you can do. Mm-hmm. There's a wonderful book by a judge in Ohio, Lawrence Taylor, I think was his name. I could be wrong about that. He says walking doors is the best thing you can do. I haven't read any other books, but I'm sure that they say walking doors is the best thing you do. Rick Santorum first got his senatorial or house seat, I guess it was, by knocking on 20,000 doors, and he overcame a popular incumbent. Now, I'm not necessarily in favor of what Rick Santorum has to say, but he is one guy who made it work.
When you go door to door, and those people do invite you in, and no disparaging remarks against you yourself, but your name is not as recognizable as Jeff Denham and some others. Have they heard of you when you say, hey, I'm running for Congress, and they say, oh, I remember your name on the ballot last time?
Well, some have and some haven't. At the moment, I'm collecting signatures, in lieu signatures, and the people I'm knocking on doors of saw me 2 years ago. So I've been to 49,000 people plus another 1,000 people I've come back to. And
Wow.
So they're remembering. In fact, I knock on the door where they have signed, and on my walking list, I keep track, and I brought the list forward so I know who signed. So I said, you signed for me 2 years ago, and said, yeah, I remember. Would you sign again? They said, sure, and they boom.
How many people that you've talked to have said that your potential opponents have, or past opponents, have knocked on their doors?
Very few. There was one guy in Manteca 2 years ago that said the last guy that knocked on my door was John Garamendi running for assembly in the late 1980s.
That's a pretty long dry stretch there.
And it's very similar. Many of the places I've gone to, candidates never walk because it's...
Ever?
Yes, because it's
Wow.
difficult. But
It's difficult, especially when it's over 2 counties.
yes, but the opportunity's there. And frankly, a lot of the guys are, since there aren't any ladies running at the moment, are just lazy.
Well, you mentioned, now that we're bringing out the claws a little bit, earlier you didn't run in 2010 because you weren't angry enough.
Yes.
Okay, here you go. You get 5 minutes. Tell me what you're angry about.
Okay. On my website is my platform. It's kind of gotten out of hand, and there's a bunch of things I need to
Sorry.
add to it. So it's about this big by now. But the top 4 things: we need to bring the jobs back to this country, and we need to strengthen the unions to help us do that, because the unions are the only people who fight for us. Corporations won't. The existing government structure won't. The second thing is there's a serious flooding risk in the Central Valley. I also have on my website a compilation of links to various sites that discuss the 1861-62 floods. There was a 300-mile long lake in the Central Valley in January 1862, and where we're sitting now, I believe, is underwater, but I'm not certain, because nobody lived here then until the railroad came through in 1868 or 9. I have on my website a proposal for 32 million acre-feet of additional storage, which would solve that risk, plus the farmers' need for water, plus the Delta problems, plus the problems in Southern California, plus the problems in the entire southwestern United States on a portion in the Colorado River. And this proposal for 32 million acre-feet is taken from 50 to 60 years of State of California and Army Corps of Engineers reports. So it's not something I've made up. And the third thing is Obamacare has been a problem. It's been a start in the right direction, but what we need is a single-payer health care, Medicare for everybody. I have on my website a budget for the United States which fully balances now, produces a surplus now, and funds Medicare for everybody. So we don't have to go through any more of this stuff that we've been through. And the fourth thing is we've been shooting too many people in this country, and we need to do something about guns. And that's the big 4.
So we've got jobs,
Yes.
water,
Yes.
healthcare,
Yes.
and guns.
Yes.
Gun control.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say gun control, just I have a ranch, 3,700 acres with my brother and 2 sisters. We have bear, mountain lion, and wild hogs.
Where do you live?
Well, I live here in Manteca. The ranch is 40 miles west of Chico out in the foothills, and my family's been there since the late 1850s. But if wild hogs catch you down, they will eat you because
yes.
they are omnivorous.
Yes.
So you don't go out back there without guns. So we need firearms on the ranch. Okay. The question is, how do you come to a compromise that makes sure that everybody who needs firearms has the firearms, but we put a stop to this senseless slaughter that we've been seeing? And on my website is a proposal to do that, a legislative proposal. First off, the right to keep and bear arms should be a privilege like it is in England and Canada and Japan and Australia, and they don't have the problems with it that we do.
It seems like you have a daunting task with walking the district in 2 counties to garner the signatures and the vote for what will be needed for 2014. But that seems minuscule in comparison to what you will want to accomplish if elected. So if you are elected, either 14 or 16, and you have those 4 items that are on your wish list.
Plus about 100 more.
Okay, so we'll pare it down to say 2, okay?
Sure.
Out of the 4 that we mentioned, the jobs, the water, the health care, and guns, choose 2 for me right now, which would be your top 2. You know you're not going to win the other 2, so you're going to choose 2. Or even 1. What would be the top number 1 thing that you say, this is my torch that I'm going to carry?
Number 1 would probably be the flooding risk. And solving that would be a great thing for the people of the state of California, because we have moved in the Central Valley. We've moved 1.5 million people into the flooding footprint of the 1861-62 floods. But in the process, we can do things like trade Hetch Hetchy for Dos Rios on the eel. Hetch Hetchy can go away, and Dos Rios can replace it, which is at a...
I remember now. Oh, last time he was on here, that's right. I told you after the show we were going to talk about Hetch Hetchy, because Hetch Hetchy's kind of near and dear to my heart. So
Now there's a way.
So we're going to make him stick around after the show.
Dos Rios on the eel, the eel is a wild and scenic river. This thing cannot be done at the state level. None of this can be done at the state level. It takes Congress to do it. But since Dos Rios is 20 times the size of Hetch Hetchy, it's attractive for the state water project.
But it's a different kind of water.
It's not as clear and clean and crystal pure as the water in Hetch Hetchy, but we probably need another larger dam well below Hetch Hetchy in order to reduce the flooding risk to Modesto anyway.
So I grew up on Hetch Hetchy water. So I have to say it's the best. I grew up in the Bay Area, but for some reason we got Hetch Hetchy water in Sunnyvale, and it was just the most magnificent water. And I can taste the difference in water between what comes out of a well or Hetch Hetchy or the city water. So why trade off pristine water for just kind of okay water if we're going to be drinking it?
Can you tell the difference between Hetch Hetchy water and Cherry Lake water and Eleanor Lake water?
I've never had the other 2.
If you had it.
But I bet I could.
I bet you. Those are all 3 reservoirs at the upper end which feed into that system. So what you're getting in the San Francisco system is a mix of all 3.
Okay, so tell me what you want to do with Hetch Hetchy.
Restore it back to what it was when John Muir complained.
So take out Hetch Hetchy and put it back to the natural habitat?
Which will take a few centuries of erosion and oxidization of the walls in order for it to become normal again.
Okay, so I'm going to put you in the same classification as Noah for a minute, okay, because he said it was going to rain. Okay, for 40
Just
days.
not right now.
Yeah, I know we're a little dry right now, but he predicted that rains were going to come and the flood was going to come and so on and so forth, and come on and get on my ark. And he was ostracized by his peers and just about everybody, except for like 0.5% of people. And so what is the feedback that you're getting? Because what you're saying is, there's not a drop in the sky, and here you're predicting floods.
1860 was a dry year. 1863 was a dry year. 1861 spring, 1861 was a wet spring. January 9th, 1861, the skies opened, and every levee in Sacramento failed. And Sacramento was the only city in the state that had levees. Along came the storm of December 28th, and Stockton and all the rest of us down here was underwater. And then came the storm of January 10th. Most of Knight's Ferry washed away, Snelling washed away, or third of Snelling actually. And California's water is not equal from year to year. And none of this is my opinion. On the website I have links to dozens of sites, and the United States Geological Survey has been raising the flag for years. There has been an extreme precipitation symposium at University of California, Davis for the last 20 years or so, and those people are aware of it, well aware of it. I'm just a guy out there saying, this is a way we can fix it. And it comes from the state reports, because nobody else is working on that. I showed a copy to Mr. Denham, or referred him to it, but he's not a guy who does big, bold things. He does little things like the addition to the Merced River storage, 70,000 acre feet, I think he was interested in storing. And I'm talking about 32 million acre feet, which is, what is that, 400 times as much?
Well, give us a comparison here, because that's a lot of numbers. Is it the size of San Luis Reservoir that you're talking about? Shasta Lake, Orville Dam?
Orville is 3 million acre feet, Shasta is 4 million. The biggest thing around is, in out west anyway, is Hoover Dam. Lake Mead is, I believe, 35 million acre feet. So the total is a little smaller than Lake Mead. I believe that would...
That's good size.
Yes.
In an airplane at 30,000 feet, it took about 5 minutes to fly over Lake Mead. It's a big area.
Depends on your airplane, too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put your information on the website this
Thank you.
evening. And if you hear clicking in the background, that is Kurt taking pictures. So we'll have pictures up this evening as well, because we're going to try to give you a little bit more information about what's going on here on Watch in a more timely manner, if possible. So we do have a lot of things coming up this week, but we'll do what we can to get that information out to you. You have a lot of paperwork, but we're running out of time. I do have a caller who's going to call in. Let me just ask a question really quick. Is he on the line now? Okay. So we have a caller. Give us the closing remarks as to, because we didn't, he's only turned one page, and I feel so bad because you have all of this information.
Well, you had asked about filing fees. Why
Yes,
they're different.
yes.
From some federal and state offices, the California filing fee is 1% of the expected gross salary. Others is 2%. But anyone running for office, federal or state, or even local, the registrars have these wonderful pamphlets.
Yeah, I
this
got
one's
one of these.
Stanislaus
Yeah.
2 years ago. This is San Joaquin now. And the Secretary of State of California also has a lot of literature. You can print it off
Okay.
On their website.
Yeah, because you've got to get it from both counties.
Yes.
Okay.
And these two are not exactly the same, but they complement each other. They don't argue.
Okay.
But
So if you cannot gather the signatures, which, by the way, how many do you need?
you need 3,000 signatures for the fee to go away.
Okay.
For some offices, you need 10,000 signatures.
Okay. And how much are the fees if you don't have the signatures?
For Congress, $1,740.
And so you're gathering the signatures in lieu of the fees.
Yes.
Where are you at now?
Several hundred.
Okay. And you're going to go back to those 1,000 people that signed for you the first time? And
I have been, but they're very widely dispersed.
Sure.
So
Sure.
when I come across one, I ask them, and when I don't, I talk to everybody else. So I've kind of flipped it. Instead of looking for signatures, I'm still campaigning and incidentally
Good.
asking for signatures, and it's working better that way.
Good. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out this evening, bringing some information and water. Thanks, Michael.
Okay.